This podcast is brought to you by Collector Legion. For all your single and gaming needs, there is no substitute. And if you're lucky enough to find yourself in LA with time to play, check them out for the best in-person gaming experience this side of the Pro Tour. Welcome to Split Second Sorcerers. I'm your host with the most detailed sideboard notes, Isaac Sears. And today on the pod, we have the Eternal Weekend Champion, the SCG Invitational winner, and the banner of White Plume Adventure via Stasis? It's
The one, the only,
Brian Koval, or as you may otherwise know them, Bush and Roll!
Hello. That's the most excited I've ever been introduced.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Well, perhaps you can share us the exciting, biggest MTG level up moment you've ever had.
Biggest MTG level up moment I've had was moving from the small city I went to college in to a big city where I still live now and getting into a deeper pool of players and just playing with people better than me and being willing to listen when they talk. That was my level up moment. Find better people and open up my brain to what they have to say.
And listen.
Yep.
If you could change one thing about Magic, whether it be structure, bannings, unbannings, what have you, what would it be?
Get rid of the reserve list, I guess. I don't know if that's in the preview of the question, but I think that is
totally.
my biggest gripe with the way Magic exists in general. I'm very happy with the recent handling of the game and stuff, so you'll get no Universes Beyond or Modern Horizons hate from me. These are just cards that exist, and I'm rolling with it.
If Magic stopped existing, what game would you pick up to fill the void?
That's tough. Probably something much healthier, like I don't know. Is jujitsu a game? Like I would probably do something like that, like disc golf, jujitsu. Like I have some other hobbies that Magic takes a lot of time away from that I'd probably just sink deeper in.
What's your biggest or most embarrassing punt?
I've made a lot of big punts in my life. The one that is unfixable, though I have learned from, is the first time I ever drafted a vintage cube. I had the opportunity to pick one Black Lotus, and I took Sword of Fire and Ice over it, because I was like, this will go in any deck. Just complete nonsense.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, on the kind of, it's not a flip reverse, but what's the first Magic card you ever remember hating?
Essence Bottle.
Why?
Yeah.
What is? I didn't. Hold on. I'm clearly at a computer. What the hell is Essence Bottle?
Yeah, go ahead, read it. And then I'll explain why I hate it.
This is definitely the deepest cut. Essence Bottle. Okay, so Essence Bottle is a 2-mana artifact, 3 mana, tap, put an elixir counter on Essence Bottle, then tap, second clause, tap, remove all elixir counters from Essence Bottle, gain 2 life for each elixir. Okay, pray tell, why do you hate this card?
Okay, so a combination of factors here. I was in 4th grade, and my friends had this card, and I didn't. And we didn't quite understand the rules. So the whole 3 tap was just 3. And any 3 mana you have can just be dumped into it.
Okay.
For 9, you could put 3 counters on basically, is how we played it. And we were kids with bad decks. There was no removal. There was no... every game devolved into a board stall. Everyone had 10, 12... 15 lands in play, and guess what? When your opponent can just tap their 15 lands to gain 3 or 5 times 2, 10 life every turn, guess who's not beating that? A 4th grader with no removal in their deck. So there's a combination of we were bad and we were playing wrong, but boy, did I hate that card.
What's your favorite tourney venue?
Philly, probably. The Reading Terminal Market, undefeated. Columbus has the North Market across from it as well. So those are both good venues. Columbus is probably easier to park at. So maybe I would choose Columbus over Philly. Reading is better than North as far as venue adjacent markets go. But Columbus might be an overall better experience.
I love the way you're looking at this. All right, parking and food. Which ones have the best?
Yeah, duh. What else is there? Convention centers are largely interchangeable once you're indoors.
Yeah, exactly. What are your neighbors doing?
Oh, though I will give a prop and slop to Baltimore. They do have a lot of nice things set up, but I don't know if there's just wings where the rooms are older or what. But the bathroom setup in one of the rooms at Baltimore, it's kind of like an L shape, and the door is at like the bottom of the L, and on the L is all of the sinks where dudes are washing their hands, and the hallway is like 1.5 dudes wide. So if you want to pee, you have to like slide, making physical contact by all the dudes washing their hands, and it's just it's bad traffic flow in a spot where you want good traffic flow. So Baltimore, bad job on that.
What's the best time period of your favorite constructed format?
Best time period of my favorite constructed format. A lot of people shout out the space in Legacy after Innistrad and before Avacyn restored. So we had Snapcaster Mage and Delver, but we didn't have Terminus yet. And Sensei's Top wasn't ruining everything with the Miracle mechanic.
Yeah.
That's a good time. I'll jump on that.
What's your favorite card to try and wheel in whichever limited format you want to play most?
One of my favorite... I don't have an all-time favorite limited format, but Rise of the Eldrazi is probably up there. And Raid Bombardment was a secret archetype in that format. That was really good. If you wheel that first pack 1 Raid Bombardment, you know it's wide open.
It's over, baby.
Yeah, you're going to get 4 of them. No one will ever be able to stop you. The ramp decks are going to die on turn 5. Doesn't matter. Good stuff.
What's your favorite non-Magic story from a Magic trip?
Non-Magic story from a Magic trip. There was an event I was judging where some players were playing a different game in the hall, and they called for a judge. And I didn't know that. I just heard someone yell judge. And they were playing some sort of like Trivial Pursuit-esque game.
Yeah.
And they were like, Judge, who hosted America's Funniest People? And I was like, Dave Coulier. And they were like, it wasn't Bob Saget. I was like, no, that was America's Funniest Home Videos. And like one of them was like, damn it. And like, he's like, fine, you win. So.
That's so juice. What's the most difficult match you've ever won?
Difficult match I've ever won. There's a bunch of different ways to answer that. Like best player I played against, or did my deck fall apart and then I managed to scrape it together? I'm not going to name names, but I will say I played a very high importance match in the elimination rounds of a very important tournament against someone who had been banned for cheating in the past. And just the level of brain power I used on watching their hands and making sure that nothing came out of their sleeves or nothing went under the table, and on top of just playing this high power, high importance match like that one weighs on me as like, that was a really hard match, and I did win it.
Woo! What's the first Magic card you remember? Opening in a pack, seeing on a table, whatever.
I think Reconstruction, like white border Reconstruction, like 1 blue regrown artifact. Just 3rd edition Reconstruction, I think, is the first card I can ever remember seeing with my eyes.
Such a metal card to be the first one you see, too. The art on that one is pretty rough.
Yeah, I learned about Magic in summer camp between 3rd and 4th grade, and the camp counselor who introduced us to it was just sort of like, here's some cards to start your collection. And it was a bunch of like jank from 3rd edition.
He was just giving away his draft chaff.
Yeah, basically.
Like, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Write-off.
But I mean, 27 years later, here I am. So it worked. And I'm pretty sure Reconstruction was on top of the pile he handed me. And as far as cards I remember opening from a pack, I think Striped Bears was the first card I saw with my eyes come out of a booster pack.
What's your favorite deck you've ever played?
It's probably some combo control deck. The the Teamer Paradoxical Outcome deck that I played at Eternal Weekend, Vintage Eternal Weekend one year. I lost in top 8. But that deck played 4 copies of Mana Gorger Hydra as a way to beat damage-based removal, and you get to like storm out on spells and storm out on combat damage at the same time. Like, that was nice.
It's like the combo equivalent of killing with like Noble Hierarch and Infect. Like, it wasn't meant to be this way, but it's this way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the finals, my one of the last game I played in that tournament led on Black Lotus Mana Gorger Hydra. And I was just like, we're in.
Sign the slip.
This is the shit.
It's over, baby.
If memory serves, my opponent found a Swords to Plowshares. I paired into the one person in the tournament playing white removal, unfortunately.
What's the first player you ever remember idolizing?
That one is interesting because I had subscriptions to Scry and Inquest magazines when I was a kid, so I saw names like John Finkel and Chris Pakula and Kai Buddha, like the really old school folks. But as far as like I now have aspirations to be at some level, it's probably from the class of like Paulo Vitor Damarosa or Luis Scott Vargas. Those were the kind of top pros when I was really in. Though I think probably Patrick Chapin was the one that bridged the gap. Like, he was really prolific and sounded really smart at the time and could back it up with wins. Like, I don't know, maybe he's smart now. He just doesn't really do Magic content anymore.
Dang, he sounded really smart.
That was not meant to come off harsh, but
I mean, he does sound smart. It's the way he said it.
Yeah, like when you're like 17 or whatever, and your brain is still forming, and you're learning big words and big concepts. And Patrick Chapin wrote to sound smart at a time when everyone was already smarter than me. So it was just like, wow, this guy knows everything.
What's the worst card you've ever registered in a constructed tournament?
Oh my goodness. Do we count Magic Online leagues? Because I've registered most cards at this point in my job.
Now, let's say for like a challenge or bigger event.
All right, I'll just shout out my entire Pro Tour final list. During the COVID lockdown, I was qualified for 3 consecutive Pro Tours. I got 1 in before the world shut down, and then the next 2 were on Arena. Mm-hmm. And I was on a team full of smart people who were testing Teamer Reclamation, which is a all-time busted deck. Cards ended up banned out of it shortly after that Pro Tour, and I was on a team full of people doing a great job innovating it, solving the mirror and stuff. And then like 1 week before the Pro Tour, somebody went 10-0 on some challenge with mono white, just white weenie. And I was like, that's it. That's the solution.
Send it.
Yep. I registered for the largest or the most prestigious event of my life with Lava Brink Adventurer. I think that's what the card's called. It's like you pick odd or even and it has protection from that mana value. That's probably the most embarrassing deck choice punt in general of my career.
Huh? All right. Well, my producer just informed me we've reached our lighting budget for this episode. So to end this pod, I got one last question for you. Sushi or sandwiches?
Oh, sandwiches. That's easy for me.
All right, well, as we come to a close here, do you have any upcoming tournaments that fans can sweat you in, or perhaps a place where the good people can find you or your content?
I will be at MagicCon Vegas, and I'll actually have a booth with my Eternal Glory pod co-host, Phil Gallagher, Thraben U. Check the schedule for that. Make sure it's finalized before I tell people the wrong thing. But we have an actual booth, plus we'll be around on the floor. Feel free to stop me, say hello. I'll also be at Eternal Week in America for sure. And it's looking good that I'll be at Eternal Week in Europe. And SCG Pittsburgh, that's my hometown. Commander Sealed up in Rochester. I got a lot of stuff before this year's out. It's a busy schedule.
Nice. Well, that does it for this episode. Thanks to my guest Brian, Richard Garfield, and you, the viewer. If y'all have any guests or questions you'd like to see asked on this program, feel free to let me know in the comments or just hit me up on Twitter @LikeIkes. And remember, folks, it's handshake, sign the slip, then throw your O3 deck in the trash, not the other way around.